Next on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
On this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we address the importance of a good preconditioning program on your operation. Plus, we head to Texas to learn more about how one feed yard is managing BRD.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. Topping this week's cattle industry news, over 30 million American children participate in the National School Lunch Program every day. Now there's new legislation moving forward that affects this program and addresses child nutrition and obesity concerns. The Senate Ag Committee recently gave unanimous approval to a bill reauthorizing federal childhood nutrition programs. Senate Ag Committee Chairman Blanche Lincoln was joined by Georgia Republican Senator Saxby Chambliss in supporting the legislation, which is known as the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010.
Well, the child nutrition bill, which we've just marked up out of the committee, is a historic event. We haven't increased the reimbursement for school lunches since 1973, and so we've put a very reasonable update in terms of those reimbursements. We are looking at, obviously, both how we create greater nutrition for our children, but also just expanding the program. We know that there are a lot of children in this country that need good nutrition. They need access to that good nutrition and to the foods in the school programs, as well as other programs, and so we've made an increase of $4.5 billion. I mean, this is the largest increase in the history of the program. We're very excited about, being able to move forward something that's not only going to affect children's lives today, but in the future too, because if we start them out with good eating habits, good nutrition, and access to good food, obviously we will deal with the whole issue of food insecurity, not just those that are experiencing hunger, but also the childhood obesity issue, which we also have seen escalating in recent years.
Of course, millions of pounds of lean ground beef are used each year in the National School Lunch Program, so this bill does have a real impact on our industry. The child nutrition bill will now move to the full Senate floor for consideration. Climate change and greenhouse gas emissions continue to be popular topics in Washington, D.C. Cattleman to Cattleman recently had the chance to visit with two members of Congress to gain their perspectives on these important issues.
Well, the House passed a climate change bill, a cap and trade bill, last summer. The Senate, now that health care is passed, seems to be poised to look at some type of climate change legislation. John Kerry and Lindsey Graham are working on a bipartisan basis to see if an alternative to the House bill that has more support can be derived. So it remains to be seen. We don't know what that legislation is going to look like, nor do we know if it will come up in this 111th Congress. We do know that the House bill, which was the largest tax increase in history when it passed the House, does not have much support in the Senate, thank goodness, because it would be very hard on agricultural users and also on everyone who uses electricity in this country, but particularly those of us who use a lot of electricity derived from coal.
As you know, I voted against the cap and trade bill that was proposed by the House. 85% of our electricity in my district comes from coal-fired plants. I did not think that this bill did enough to protect coal. I did not think that it did enough to enhance the clean coal burning technology, because I believe that in order to develop a clean energy America and trying to make sure that we do not rely on other countries to produce our energy, we have to address the issue of clean coal burning technology. The adverse effect on agriculture is something that we really have to look at. And if we look at the long term and we look about the importance of balancing our nation's budget and going from a deficit to a surplus is really something we have to look at. For example, if we can become self-sufficient in energy production, and coal being a big part of it, then I believe that we can begin to lower our deficit, because we won't have as big of a presence in the Middle East as we currently have, and that is costing American taxpayers a lot of money.
It's issues like these that NCBA works on every day in Washington, D.C. Join NCBA today. Call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit us at beefusa.org. NCBA also works closely with state organizations on issues that affect cattlemen. And joining me in the studio today is Bill Hamrick, Chief Executive Officer of the Colorado Livestock Association. Thanks for coming to the show, Bill.
Thanks for having me.
Well, tell us just a little bit about yourself and your own background.
Grew up on a cow-calf ranch on the, as they call it, the western slope of Colorado.
A slopey.
A slopey, yes. And went to Colorado State University, graduated from there with a degree in agricultural economics, and then started on what has been most of my career in the cattle feeding industry. Started with the Montford organization. From there, had the good fortune of being able to work with Mr. W.D. Farr for a number of years, and finished up in the cattle feeding side with Willard Sparks and his organization, and came to the Colorado Livestock Association about 8 years ago.
So wealth of industry experience. And tell folks what CLA is.
CLA is a multi-species organization, which I think makes us rather unique when it comes to membership livestock organizations that we typically see around the country. I've been asked by a number of people, how can you bring such divergent groups together and ideas and what have you? And I think the key to the success of the organization to this point is we focus only on those issues and so forth that those various species groups have in common. We don't get into the promotion of one protein against another and that kind of thing. So I think it's focusing on the common goal that makes us who we are.
Well, and you've been rather successful, but tell folks, what are some of the issues that you're focused on right now?
Now, and in the past, and what appears to be what we're going to be focusing on in the future, is in typically two areas, regulatory and legislative. From the regulatory side, in any given year or period of time, it pretty much is about air quality and water quality and or quantity. Legislatively, a couple of things that we've been involved with recently is we've, like a lot of states, are facing a state budget crisis. And one of the proposals that made its way through the legislature this year was either the suspension or elimination of tax exemptions as relate to agriculture. And in the interpretation of some of those existing statutes, the exemptions that we have enjoyed on specifically some of our feedstuffs for a time were in jeopardy. But in working with the Department of Revenue, Department of Ag, and so forth, we've been able to maintain those exemptions. A year ago, a couple of years ago, were very actively involved in developing legislation that thwarted a potential ballot initiative here in Colorado as relates to animal well-being and dictating the size of crates and cages, et cetera.
Yeah, and that has been clearly modeled in other parts of the country. You all took great leadership in that. So I know you're real passionate about folks getting involved at the state level. Can you tell us why that is?
How much time have you got? I think that, and I hope it doesn't sound trite, but you know, there's a couple of old sayings, you know, that two heads are better than one, and talking about strength in numbers. And Kevin, I really believe that today that has never been more true. You know, we all hear about the fact that as agriculture goes, that we are less than 2% of the population today. We all talk about the difficulties that we have in telling our story about who we are, what we do, and why we do it. And I think that that is more critical than ever that you be part of something greater than just your own individual business, if you will. Because it's through that collective effort and collecting those energies and getting them channeled and focused that I think that we're going to be much more effective than trying to do it on our own, if you will. One other thing, I think, you know, we can talk about the individual memberships within states, but I think even as we go on down the road, and I don't know that this is the question you asked, but I think we're going to have to think in more of a regional type approach. because, water is water, and we don't just have Colorado water and just Colorado air, if you will.
Right.
It flows across state boundaries in both ways, and so I think I think if I could just pick on two things today, I think that those would be the two things that I think belonging to an organization like CLA or any other organization of your choice, be part of something.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming to the show, and most importantly, thank you for what you do for all of us here in Colorado. We appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
You bet.
Take care.
We have a great joint offer right now between state associations, NCBA, and our friends at Beringer Ingelheim for a free bottle of Cydectin. Call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit us at beefusa.org for details on how you can take advantage of this special offer. Next on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we head to Nebraska for details on how a strong preconditioning program can add value to your cattle and dollars to your bottom line. Plus tips from a Texas feed yard on how to best manage BRD. We'll be right back.
Your older utility tractor's never been worth more. Come into your John Deere dealer and we'll custom make a deal just for you. Cash discounts, 0% financing. Either way, we'll give you a great deal and put you in a new John Deere 20 to 140 horsepower utility tractor. Stop by your John Deere dealer today and see why John Deere quality has never been easier to own. Offer ends April 30th. Offer subject to approved credit on John Deere credit installment plan. See dealer for details.
You're not responsible for the weather, just the cattle. And Rangeland works as hard as you do to deliver performance, production, and profitability. Cattle need consistent nutrition. They'll get it year-round with Rangeland products from Land O'Lakes. Deliver what they need free choice in weather-resistant loose minerals and mineral and protein tubs. Get the most out of your forage. See your Land O'Lakes Co-op for products that will stand up to whatever Mother Nature throws at us. Weather's coming in. Rangeland. Consider it done.
From fresh tomatoes to potatoes and chicken to beef, we're as picky about our quality ingredients as you are. Because that's what we're made of.
NCBA and Beringer Ingelheim Vetmedica are teaming up to bring you more membership value. Join before May 30th and receive a free 500 milliliter bottle of Cydectin Pour-On. Join both NCBA and your state association and receive a second bottle of Cydectin absolutely free. For details, call 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit beefusa.org.
Back in the day, cow-calf producers could profit simply from selling commodity calves without any documentation on calf health history. Today, savvy producers profit from preconditioning calves. In fact, premiums for preconditioned calves have been documented at 15-year highs. To better understand why such price premiums exist, we decided to turn to a feedlot manager who regularly tries to fill his pens with preconditioned calves. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter takes us to Nebraska to learn more.
Cattle feeding profitability hinges on the ability to keep cattle healthy and gaining efficiently to ultimately produce a quality end product. Craig Uden and his team at Dar Feedlot near Cozad, Nebraska have years of experience caring for their animals, ensuring they meet the highest quality standards.
We do a lot of retained ownership feeding for customers throughout the entire United States. That was the backbone of this operation in 1983 and continues on today. So we started this operation with approximately 2,500 head, and we've grown it to about 45,000 capacity today.
For these Nebraska feeders, one secret to success is buying calves that have been properly preconditioned. Preconditioning programs combine vaccination, nutrition, and management practices designed to prepare calves to best withstand the stresses of weaning.
Any given year, we can wean 15 to 20,000 head of calves for our customers, and that's both retained ownership and cattle we buy for customers. And so it's very important these cattle have a good vaccination program because it just can't cover that many cattle without it.
We get cattle from multiple different states, multiple different sources, and so when cattle get here, they're exposed to a lot of different things. It's kind of like sending your kids to school. You know, lots of different bugs floating around. The more prepared those calves are in terms of a vaccination program, deworming program, the more successful we'll be in keeping them healthy and productive.
If I'm buying them, I won't buy them if they're not preconditioned. And if it's retained ownership, customer will strongly encourage him to do it. If he doesn't, we'll show him data of why he should. And if he doesn't, then probably next year he will. It's dramatic, the difference.
A strong preconditioning program such as SelectVac from Pfizer Animal Health helps reduce the likelihood that calves will get sick after they enter the feedlot, which equals reduced time, labor, and treatment costs.
Preconditioned calves to a buyer represent animals that have reduced health risk. So they expect to treat fewer animals, have fewer problems associated with health.
Most of these calves will be fed 200 days, and if we're fighting these cattle for the first 100 days, you're going to lose half your performance in those cattle, and thus you're going to see some huge losses. And what we see is the cattle that have been preconditioned, if they do get sick, those cattle respond and right back into the pen.
I think anytime you get into a group of cattle that hasn't been preconditioned, you're going to see a higher incidence of sickness, respiratory illness, and anytime you have that kind of damage, it's going to decrease their efficiency and their ability to gain and produce.
SelectVac is a branded, third-party verified preconditioning program that has earned a reputation for delivering healthier, higher-value calves. With a strong science-based approach using Pfizer Animal Health products such as the BovaShield Gold line of vaccines, Cattle Master Gold, One Shot, and Dectamax, producers can turn to SelectVac for flexible yet proven health and management protocols.
The SelectVac program is a program that does provide third-party verification and documentation of the health and other management practices that the cattle have had at their previous operation. It provides, I think, great credibility. It provides documentation, and I think it's a science-based program that we know provides additional value when it's implemented. Producers have options as to which types of SelectVac program they might enter their cattle into. It gives producers an option to choose a program that best fits what they want to do and accomplish.
The documentation, knowing what they have, so if we have problems, we can go back to the ranch and see, what may have happened, what didn't happen, start bringing minerals in and whatever, some deficiencies, and adjust that program. And basically, it opens the line of communication.
Everybody knows with the SelectVac program what those cattle have had and the requirements of that program, and I think that makes it a lot less confusing to the people trying to buy. The peace of mind of knowing that those cattle probably have been prepared as well as they can be for what they're going to be exposed to here makes our job a lot easier.
We'll return to Nebraska for more tips from our friends at Pfizer Animal Health up next.
These days, more cattlemen choose Draxxin to fight BRD than any other brand. Here's why.
It works. We have fewer repulls, and the ones that we do repull respond, and we have fewer chronics in the end.
To retreat anything it's a lot more expensive than using Draxxin as a first time.
And the evidence backs up what most cattlemen already know. Draxxin cuts retreats by 50%. So talk to your veterinarian and check the online calculator at Draxxin.com. You'll see why Draxxin should be your first choice to fight BRD.
Basically, what it's allowed us to do with our operation is run more cattle through in a given period of time. It's just really been a good product to use.
Do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older. Do not use in calves to be processed for veal. Draxxin has a pre-slaughter withdrawal time of 18 days. Please visit Draxxin.com or call 1-888-DRAXXIN for more information.
Quality matters to me because I love my family. I want to raise my family here like generations before me. My family has always worked together and played together. We have always laughed together and cried together. My family is my life. Careful stewardship of the animals and resources that are under my care benefits my family. They live where I work and eat the same food that I produce. I'm proud of what we'll do here today.
Welcome back. Preconditioning, it's consistently adding value to calves these days. Let's return to reporter Brian Baxter, who has more on why from Nebraska.
I trust Select Vac because I trust the people. And again, it's about building relationships. And those relationships are really built on having different programs and having speakers come in and tell us why and show us why. Then we go ahead and use those products and we see the results.
Cow-calf producers who follow a documented preconditioning program reap strong benefits on sale day.
Superior has a data set that's gone over a number of years that's documented differences in their health programs. Calves that have been weaned, vaccinated, for example, have garnered increased returns for ranchers for numbers of years.
In fact, 2008 price premiums range from $8.20 to $9.36 per hundredweight, equaling about $46 to $53 more per head. Buyers are willing to pay a premium for calves with documentation of a proven branded preconditioning program.
I would encourage producers to consider preconditioning programs in order to better market their cattle, as well as to improve the value of their cattle. Buyers, of course, need to know the information, the background of their cattle. And by having records of the health program that they've been through at their previous place, their previous operation, really allows them to manage their cattle appropriately. These protocols that are established are the same no matter what state these cattle are purchased in, and so there's a level of predictability that goes with a branded program.
When cattle trade hands, there just needs to be that validation that it was done and done properly, and if it was done properly, then we as producers or feeders have the confidence that we can go ahead and buy those calves and they will perform.
Many producers vaccinate their calves and still don't really know what they gave, and so it's important from our standpoint to know that, you know, if they've been through a third-party verified program, they got, you know, the program requirements were met, and that way we have a better idea of exactly what those calves got, because many times they've been vaccinated but we don't really know what for, and so you're kind of forced to treat them as, you know, just as a group of calves that isn't vaccinated.
The team at Dar Feedlot also values the expertise they're able to draw upon from the Pfizer Animal Health team.
We have a pretty good relationship with them, being able to talk with them on a personal level about the concerns that we have. So just the standpoint of knowing that if there are issues, they're easily taken care of is a big part of why we use their products.
Select Vac is administered by Pfizer. Has a large support from veterinary operations people, territory managers, and I think a fairly large array of people. So support that might be needed is readily available both at the ranch and the feedlot.
I think they do a great job of communicating with the producers, both the feedlot and the cow-calf. And that's what it's about, is bridging these gaps to make a better product for a consuming public.
And producing a higher quality product benefits all segments of the beef industry.
Preconditioning programs have been around for quite a long time, and I think that they are an example of how the livestock industry, the cattle industry, really stewards or takes care of animals responsibly through preventive health and management plans that really benefit the industry. This is a process that started at the ranch that ends in the feedlot. But in the end, each segment of the industry benefits.
In general, most producers are trying to do the right thing in terms of the program that they use. Sometimes there is a little bit of confusion with different products as far as what they're actually addressing with the vaccines that they're giving. So the main thing is just to know what products that you're using and be able to pass that information down.
Anytime we can partner from farm to fork, that's better for our business, because we do produce a very good, wholesome product. We just have to we have to validate what we do in order for the consumer to have the confidence that everything was done right. That's just the way it is today. And everybody has to be on the same page to produce a quality product that we can feel good about when we present it to the retailer or the customer.
Adding value to calves, decreasing sickness and production losses in the feedlot, and ultimately helping enhance beef quality are all key benefits of the SelectVac preconditioning program from Pfizer Animal Health. Reporting from Nebraska, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
To get started with the SelectVac program, contact your veterinarian or your local Pfizer Animal Health representative, or just visit us at cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be right back.
I'd like a moment with you cow-calf folks to talk about BQA, the Beef Quality Assurance Program. BQA has been designed to reduce bruises, blemishes, lamenesses, and impolite behavior in the calves you market. The point is to guarantee as best we can to our buyers and to consumers that we cattlemen know what we're doing, that we're treating our animals right, and the meat they buy is safe and wholesome. Now, most of the big feedlots and ranchers have signed on already, but that leaves the rest of us, and even if you only have 20 cows and a job in town, you need to be involved. Because every calf you sell is going to wind up on a plate someday, and we want our customers, all of them, to have a great dining experience, right? BQA helps furnish you with management tools and useful information to increase the value of your calves. So check it out at bqa.org and see what it takes to be involved in your state, because it's the right thing to do.
Comprehensive, practical, powerful. Now's the time to put the power of DNA to work in your herd with the comprehensive Igenity profile. The inside information from Igenity can help you make more confident replacement heifer and herd sire selection decisions, add marketability to your feeder cattle, make faster genetic progress, and more. The best time to get started is when you're already working cattle, during branding, weaning, or bull soundness exams. Get started today. Visit Igenity.com or call 1-877-IGENITY to put the power of DNA to work in your herd.
You probably know by now that the Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show is packed with events for people of all ages. This year, many young people participated in the Youth Beef Quiz Bowl, answering questions about all aspects of the beef industry. Reporter Brad Bulla has more.
And tell me the name of a
Students from all over the country gathered at the NCBA trade show in San Antonio, Texas to give their brains a workout in the Beef Quiz Bowl.
Okay, true or false? Belgian Blue is a breed of cattle that is known for very desirable marbling scores.
It was all related to the beef industry. They had different questions about like equipment, reproduction, the actual finished meat product, and just multiple different aspects.
It's with cattle, and it's with companies that deal with cattle, and feed that deals with cattle, just kind of all around agriculture, I guess.
A lot of work went into creating questions that were appropriate for this particular setting.
We've been doing Quiz Bowl in Florida for almost 20 years, and so I have a master list that I don't share with other people, and we add to it and take away from it. A lot of these questions today I tried to rewrite to make them more appropriate for kids between 15 and 18, and also ask some things from the trade show, some of the companies, and NCBA specifically. Where is intermuscular fat found on an animal? Number 7,
between muscle groups.
That's correct. Some people call it seam fat, yeah.
As the competition heated up, nerves began to surface.
I was a little nervous in the beginning because the first match that we did, the other team was a little bit intimidating.
Some questions we were nervous about to answer, but we did know them, so maybe it won't be as tough later on.
And some questions left the competitors stumped.
Actually, there was this one over a blood-borne disease, and I said trichinosis, which is a hog disease, and it was trichomoniasis, and so that threw me off.
They asked us how you calculate feed conversion, which we all should have known, and we just went blank, and none of us hit the buzzer.
There were some that were a little tricky. I got stumped on some of them, but we practiced a lot, so we knew a lot of them.
Youth events, like the Beef Quiz Bowl, help the next generation of cattlemen and women learn more about the beef industry as well as NCBA.
This is my first year. It's bigger than I thought. It's very interesting to see, though, all the booths and what all is out there in the beef industry.
Whenever I first started, I didn't know anything about the industry, but now that I've done this for multiple years, I know so much now, and it's definitely helped me figure out what I want to do with my career and what I want to major in.
Our plan was, first of all, the Cattlemen's Association is only as strong as its membership and officer teams. And if we want to encourage people to stay in animal agriculture for the next generation, you have to find ways to get them involved younger. So any opportunity to get a kid out of their state to see other places and just to help them try to grasp the vastness of our organization and the industry, all of that's very positive for them.
When all the beef quizzing was done, the 5-member team from Florida took home top honors and a $500 first prize. Reporting from San Antonio, I'm Brad Bullock for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
It's always refreshing to see such smart young people involved in our industry. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Quality matters to me because I'm responsible for the care and preserving the health of cattle every day. Healthy cattle are the key to safe and wholesome beef. As a vet, I work hard to look out for the well-being of the cattle, no matter the time of day, no matter the weather. I'm here for the animals, and my work matters when it comes to the safety of the beef Americans eat. I'm proud of what we'll do here today.
You take pride in the beef you raise. Countless hours invested to assure a safe and wholesome calf crop. Why trust that calf crop to just anyone? Experience the new Dinklage difference with a long history and reputation for outstanding performance and cattle care. We use a combination of cutting-edge technologies and data-driven decision-making to establish our place as leaders in the cattle feeding industry. Allow Dinklage to be a part of your team in the quest to maximize your profits, with 5 locations to serve you in Wyoming, Nebraska, and Colorado. For more information on the new Dinklage difference, stop by one of our yards or visit us on the web at dinklagefeedyards.com.
You know, I didn't think I could afford to vaccinate for scours. Then my vet told me about Guardian vaccine. Guardian offers the most complete coverage of anti-scours vaccine. And now Guardian can protect my calves against E. coli up to 6 months prior to calving.
It pays to vaccinate with Guardian Scours vaccine.
Thanks to Guardian, I have healthier calves and healthier profits.
Bovine respiratory disease, or BRD, costs the cattle industry millions of dollars each year. And it's a problem that many have found is manageable with the right production practices. Recently, reporter Dave Russell had a chance to visit with the general manager of a feed yard in Gonzales, Texas, to learn more about how they combat the disease.
At Graham Land & Cattle, General Manager Jay Gray spends his days both looking after the cattle and looking for ways to improve his operation. One issue Gray is tackling, shipping fever, or BRD. It's a common disease among cattle who are put in close quarters and are under a lot of stress, something Gray sees regularly.
Well, those are cattle that have been here several days. We've had cattle from this operation before, so they're put in, again, one of those specialty environments where the current weather or the past recent weather, 2 weeks or so, not only on the cattle where they resided, which I knew where they came from, or we know where they come from, but the cattle were put in here, and then we've had several days of inclement weather that's not going to be very helpful in getting them on their feed and nutritionally going.
Gray, looking to help these type of high-stress cattle, turned to his local representative from Intervet Shearing Plow Animal Health for ideas. The solution? A new product called Resflor Gold, which was used to treat these high-stress cattle.
It's a brand new antibiotic. It's a fluorophenocal, basically the active ingredient in New Flor, is the base antibiotic agent of the product. Covers the 3 major BRD pathogens from Mannheimia hemolytica, Pasteurella metastasis, and Haemophilus somni. Well, I think people need to know that Resflor is a new technology, combining the best of both worlds from an antibiotic standpoint to also a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug with 1 dose. The key things about Resflor is it's very fast acting. Once we give that injection, within 30 minutes to an hour, we have therapeutic levels in the serum, in the blood, to be effective against the 3 major BRD pathogens. The other benefit of it, of course, is the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. Makes the animal feel better, where he's up, moving around, eating, drinking again, doing the things that animals are supposed to do in a feed yard.
And that's exactly the experience Gray saw when administering Resflor Gold to that group of high-stress cattle. About 5 hours after the product was administered, Gray saw a marked difference in the animals, their overall disposition, appearance, and willingness to eat and drink.
We used some of this product earlier on, initially, in some small test cases around the feed yard here, and today we haven't had any problems with those cattle, and we haven't had any follow-up treatments. Those cattle have gotten time with what we want them to do here and have gone on into their productive systems.
Research shows that early treatment of BRD with a fast-acting, broad-spectrum antibiotic and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory like Resflor Gold is key to fighting the disease.
So basically what Intervet Shearing Plow did was put these 2 products in one convenient package where you can give a 6 ml per 100 sub-Q injection and cover all of your major BRD pathogens, make the cattle feel better. Basically just like us, when we go to the doctor and we're sick, they give us antibiotics. Well, we take the antibiotics for 5 to 7 days, but we also, first thing I do is go to the medicine cabinet and reach for the Tylenol or the Motrin to make us feel better, and that's what this product does. We've seen where cattle within 4 hours of treatment are up, back at the bunk, putting their head in the water trough, eating, which we all know that that's part of the process to get these cattle back on their feet and performing and feeling better and doing what they need to do.
And in these tough economic times, both Jay Gray and Jay Free say they know it's important not to take shortcuts.
You know, we have to, number one, do the best thing for the animal, treat it the most humanely, and use the best animal husbandry practices that we can. And that includes making that animal feel better, making that animal more comfortable. You know, what's the cost on that? You know, my philosophy is if we don't do these things up front to treat the animal right, they might never make it through the feeding period, and our mortality rates are going to be higher, and those cattle might not even end up in a closeout.
Why we're using antibiotics like Resflor Gold, and there's why do we use any antibiotics? Obviously, we're trying to make this animal a better product for us, getting well and over this problem, just like us as people. And you go see the doctor, you're going to get the best technology that's out there. That's what you expect. That's what you want, because you want to feel better. So we want to provide those cattle with the best technology that's there.
And with all the challenges facing the cattle industry these days, it's good to have choices when it comes to caring for your cattle.
I think ResFlor is definitely a product that will fit into everybody's toolbox. You know, different people have different preferences in what they use, but I think ResFlor really plays a key role in the feed yard setting, especially with having an antibiotic that gets there very quickly. We reach therapeutic levels within about 30 minutes to an hour after giving that injection. So something that's going to really work fast, get in there and make the animals feel better and start reducing the bacteria that are in the lungs very rapidly.
Reporting from Gonzales, Texas, I'm Dave Russell for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
For more information on ResFlor Gold and the folks at Intervet Shearing Plow Animal Health, visit cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be right back.
Your feedlot is a pack-on-the-pounds enterprise where your goal is to get the animals to market fast. Every minute counts as you battle the weather, livestock genetics, and health issues. Now there's a powerful new dual-action therapy for the hospital pen that shares your need for fast action. ResFlor Gold. Ask your veterinarian about ResFlor Gold. See improvement in as few as 6 hours with ResFlor Gold.
If you aren't implanting your calves with Ralgrow, you're leaving money on the table. Ralgrow is tried and true technology that increases average daily gains and improves your utilization of pasture resources. Ralgrow can increase weaning weight in steers and heifers by as much as 20 to 35 pounds, which lowers your break-even point and puts more money in your pocket. Don't leave money on the table. Go to www.ralgrow.com to learn more.
Before you head out here, start your season right with Cabela's. Your source for the hottest new gear at tough-to-beat prices. Save big on everything you need when you shop by catalog, stores, and online at Cabela's.com. Our legendary selection is field-tested and field-proven. You can trust our gear. Cabela's, world's foremost outfitter.
Get ready for the Rocky Mountain Roundup. Join the 2011 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show in the city that gets 300 days of sun a year, Denver, Colorado. It's not only a great opportunity to connect with your fellow cattlemen, but you will also attend important industry meetings, find out about the newest technologies, and get all the information you need for a successful year. We'll see you in Denver at the Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show, February 2nd through the 5th. For more information, visit beefusa.org.
Welcome back. Beef Northwest is a company that has managed to successfully mix the industry's tradition and honor with modern business practices. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Dave Russell recently had the chance to learn more.
The beef industry is known for its proud history, but it also needs to keep up with the times. With operations in Oregon and Washington, Beef Northwest is a family-owned company doing that with a reputation going back nearly a century and a half.
My partner in the business today is Jim Wilson. He's a first cousin, and his and my great-great-grandfather came across the Oregon Trail in the late 1860s, early 1870s. They settled in the Baker or North Powder Valley in the early 1870s, and we actually have a Century Farm in Oregon that was established in 1878.
Beef Northwest was started in 1991. We have 3 feedlots, 2 in Oregon, 1 in Washington. We have a capacity of 95,000 head. It's also integrated with a company called Wilson Cattle Company, which is really a backgrounding stocker operation, grass operation. That's been in the Wilson family for 5 generations, since the 1800s. And so the stocker operation, the grass operation, grazes cattle throughout the Northwest and California and feeds into Beef Northwest feedlots. So it's really a vertically integrated operation with Wilson Cattle and Beef Northwest.
Through the years, the Wilsons have made respect the cornerstone of the family-owned operation.
There have been multiple siblings as partners within our family business for 4 generations, and you don't do that in the ranching business without a certain amount of respect that's being passed through. And I think within the family there's a lot of respect, but I hope that it's been passed along to all the management, the employees that we have, and then on through that to our customers and partners.
We have good relationships with our packers. We see the opportunity in integrating ourselves all the way back to the producer and providing them the kinds of information that they need and helping them be successful. And we also are working with our packers to provide them the kind of product they want. And we're the largest supplier of cattle to Tyson in the Northwest, and we see that as a great opportunity to work with them and developing grids and developing the kind of cattle that work for them too.
Creating win-win situations gets more than just lip service at Beef Northwest.
The margins in our industry are so low that if we're not together on both sides of the balance sheet, on both sides of a deal, it's not going to be sustainable. And I think the sustainability of our industry is in the balance between forming kind of partnerships all the way through the supply chain. We can't have our vendors going out of business. We can't allow our cow producer partners to go out of business. We can't. If our packers go out of business, we're in trouble. We feel like by establishing partnerships, we've got buy-in on both sides of the deal.
The last year has been tough, but like most in the cattle business, managers at Beef Northwest are optimistic.
We view the upcoming year as an opportunity. We think that if we can get any kind of a spark back in the demand side of our business, that we're in a great position to supply a good product and make some profit with it.
Focusing on their business, Beef Northwest depends on the National Cattlemen's Beef Association to protect their interest in Washington, D.C. and the public.
I think it's particularly important in the cattle industry because we tend to be so independent, and ranchers don't want interference. They don't want people on the ranch. They're doing what they're doing for a very specific reason, and a lot of that has to do with independence, which tends to make us maybe hide out a little bit from the public and hide out a little bit from some of these issues that are going on out there. If we didn't have our trade organizations representing us, I think we would really have some serious public relation type or image type issues because we're not the kind of people that naturally get in front of big crowds and tell our story.
There are so many issues out there that are so important to our industry, and we feel that the National Cattlemen's Beef Association represents us well. And we can't be every place all the time, and those people that are in the NCBA, we have a lot of confidence in. And we put a lot of stock in NCBA to represent our interests, and we feel that they're the best national organization to do that. And we're going to continue to support NCBA any way we can to represent the interests of the cattlemen.
I'm Dave Russell reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
You can get more details on Beef Northwest and other C2C stories at cattlemantocattleman.org. Don't go away, Baxter Black is up next.
B&W's turnover ball, the best-selling gooseneck hitch in the country? Maybe it's the ingenious way it solves everyday problems. Or because it's time-tested and is rated to tow 30,000 pounds. Maybe it's because our lifetime warranty gives hard-working people peace of mind. Or maybe it's because folks love to own a hitch that's still 100% made in America. The turnover ball by B&W. Trusted.
So what do you care if your cattle are source and age verified? Better yet, do you think the housewife cares? Well, 70% of consumers surveyed want to know where their food comes from. So where do you start? With this little green ear tag. IMI Global's the seal of approval that stands behind the beef you've produced. IMI is engaged in source and age verification from the cow man to the kitchen table. So if you're ready to start, just ask us. IMIGlobal.com. What happened to your pickup seat? Is that buffalo track? Well, I guess you had to be there. We had a cow attack. It all began when me and Roy went out to check the cows. We'd finished lunch, watched RFD, and forced ourselves to rouse. We was poking through the heavy bunch for calves to tag and check. I spotted one, but his old mom was bowing up her neck. But Roy was bent on tagging him and thought to make a grab. This is Roy. Just drive up there beside the calf. I'll pull him in the cab. Oh, great. Another stroke of genius. The cowboy daring do. Sure enough, when Roy nabbed the calf, his mama came in too, and I do mean climbed up in there, got a foot behind the seat, punched a horn right through the windshield, and she wasn't very neat. She was blowing stuff out both ends till the cab was slick and green. It was on the floor and on the roof and on the calf vaccine. At one point she was sitting up, just going for a ride. But then she tore the gun rack down and the calf jumped out my side, and I was fighting with the door lock that she'd smashed to passing by when she peeked up through the steering wheel and looked me in the eye. We escaped like paratroopers. Out the window landed clear, but the cow just kept on driving because the truck was still in gear. She topped the hump and disappeared. The blinker light came on, but if she turned, I never saw. By then the truck was gone. I looked at Roy. My truck's a wreck. My coveralls are soaked. I'll probably never hear again. I think my ankle's broke. Look at you. You're pitiful, all crumpled up and stiff, like you've been eaten by wild dogs and pooped over a cliff. I'm back. But think about it, Roy said. Since Grandpa was alive, I believe that's the firstest time I've seen a cattle drive. This is Baxter Black and Roy from out there.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We'll see you right back here next week on RFD TV.